A rare disease that almost cost Messi his life? An accident that changed Ronaldo's career? Some of the best ballers in the world are still lucky to be alive. And if you're Neymar, man, you know you're blessed because before his career even started, it almost never began.
Oui.
Back in 1992, Neymar was just 4 months old when his family decided they'd go on a road trip to visit some family members. Because he was only a toddler, they strapped him in his car seat in the back so they'd be able to watch over and protect him. They didn't want him falling out, but this road trip almost cost him little Neymar's life. As they went up the mountains, it suddenly became very dark, and pretty soon Neymar's dad couldn't see anything. And then boom! A hellish storm broke out. The rain didn't stop pounding, and the tires were screeching loud. Neymar's dad thought he had control of the situation, but as he hit the brakes to stop, it didn't budge. That's when he knew he was only a few seconds away from losing his entire family. A freakish accident, there was blood everywhere. Neymar's dad was injured, and his mom too, but all they could think about was little Neymar, and that's when they realized he was nowhere to be seen. They searched the back, called his name, waited for an answer, but nothing. Neymar's mom was really freaking out and panicking, but his dad knew his little son was special. So he tried the call again, and this time, a miracle. They found him in a bush dangling from his car seat and with a cut to his head. So they immediately called an ambulance and had their kid rushed to the hospital. All they could think about was Neymar, so they prayed, and the doctors promised they'd do everything to save little Neymar's life. A couple of hours later, they came out with the news. Neymar's okay. He's responding to treatment and is doing well. The bleeding has stopped. Incredible! Neymar knows he's lucky to still be alive, and seeing him go from almost losing his life to becoming one of the best players in the game, it's awesome. But Neymar isn't the only South American megastar who almost died, because just 761 miles across the border, Lionel Messi was only a few inches away from landing in his grave. See, back in 2017, Barcelona went up against Juventus in the Champions League, and Messi needed to win one because Juventus' new kid, Paulo Dybala, was becoming so good, people had serious eyes on him. And after scoring twice in the first leg to give Juve a 3-0, everyone started calling him the new Messi, just to mock Leo and get it into his head. Messi knew he had to turn up big time, or else he'd be letting his fans down. And haters would have had the last laugh and damage his reputation. Now, he wasn't just playing for himself. He was playing for everyone who'd ever worn his shirt and cheered him on. So, when the second leg began, there was only one thing on Messi's mind: rise to the occasion and end the debate. The match was tough. Freaking hell, these guys were monsters, warriors. They fought for everything as the half was coming to an end. Messi decided to stun the whole crowd and pull off something he'd rarely done. So the little magician leapt up to go higher than everyone else, but his landing almost cost him his life. Messi's one lucky dude, man. After the freak accident, the docs decided to do a check on him, and what they discovered had Messi thanking his lucky stars. Leo, if you had landed just 2 millimeters higher, you would have snapped your neck, and the impact would have likely killed you instantly. Whoa! Now, even though they didn't win the match, the Barca fans were relieved. Messi only came out with a minor neck injury and was able to walk off the field. Not like Fernando Torres, though. Nah, his head injury was so bad, he was literally a few seconds away from death. In 2017, a couple of bad moves abroad, Fernando Torres made up his mind to come back home for a second spell. The guy's a god in Atletico Madrid. His legacy there is for life. But this one time, he came face to face with death. In a match against Deportivo La Coruña, Atleti were losing, and they knew they had to win because the Champions League qualification was at stake, and teams behind them were catching up. They needed someone to rescue the game because time was running out fast. So Diego Simón turned, looked at the bench, and gave the signal. "Fernando, you're up, man. Go in there and make a difference. I believe in you. Everyone is counting on you." Torres came in with one thing on his mind: rescuing his team and becoming a hero again to his fans. But he didn't know that just a few minutes later, he'd be the one thing they'd all have to rescue. With just 6 minutes left, the score was 1 each and the whole stadium was tense. It was a straight-on fight, so they were going for every tackle, every ball, and bang! Torres got hit in the head from the back. and it looked like a normal tackle until the blood began to flow. And when everyone saw red, the game stopped, and the tears flowed. Damn, I've never been that scared in my life. And I don't even know the guy. His teammates, the officials, and even the fans couldn't look. Everyone was just praying hard that he'd make it, but some were thinking this was the end for Torres. And as the ambulance came in, it looked like it'd be the last time the world would ever see Fernando Torres, until a miracle happened. Hours later, the news came out. Torres had survived. It was only a concussion that made him bleed. And to ease the tension, when he went on Instagram and posted a selfie of himself in the hospital bed recovering, amazing. Torres knows he's lucky too, because he was able to recover and continue his career. He didn't have to stay unconscious like his former teammate Petr Cech. Now his injury was so severe, it shattered his brain and made him lose his memory. Petr Cech is an absolute legend at Chelsea. He's won every trophy possible. He's one of the all-time greats, but it could have been completely different, because for all the saves he's made throughout his career, he almost couldn't save his life. In October 2006, Chelsea played Reading at the Premier League. As the match went on, Cech was trying to be dominant in his position, so when he was rushing up for every ball that came to him, he collided with Stephen Hunt. Something looked different though. See, Cech didn't move, and some Reading guys even thought he was time wasting. But as they got closer, they realized Cech was fighting for his life. Immediately, the medical team came in to see if they could do anything, but the situation was completely out of control. Cech was unconscious, and to make it worse, they found he'd had a fractured skull. There was no way he was playing after that, so immediately got subbed off and taken straight to the hospital for surgery. According to Cech himself, he couldn't even get up for 10 days. His skull wasn't the only thing broken though, because his jaw had been sewn up with metal plates. A couple of weeks after the incident, Cech was feeling okay, and some reporters decided they'd interview him to find out what really happened and what the entire experience was like. But Cech's answer shocked the entire room. If I'm being honest, I don't remember anything. All I know is I came out rushing to collect the ball, fell down, and woke up in a hospital. But thankfully for Cech, it turned out okay. The thing is, he had to wear a mask from that point on to protect himself. But when your mask becomes so legendary, it even gets featured on FIFA Career Mode, it's a happy ending. After Cech retired, kinda thought that'd be the last time we'd see protective headgear in the Premier League, until an injury so nasty left this next dude needing a miracle to survive. It's we're expecting him to do the job. But David Luiz wasn't prepared to let him in that easily, so they both went full on for the ball. And as they clashed and fell, the whole world stopped to watch, because what happened next was a matter of life and death. David came out okay a few minutes after, but Jimenez was out cold. The medical team had to bring in the emergency oxygen tank, but it wasn't working and everyone started panicking. So they rushed him to the hospital immediately, and the looks on the doctors' faces in the ER confirmed their biggest fears. We need to do surgery immediately. See, Jimenez suffered a major traumatic brain injury, a skull fracture, and was bleeding inside his brain. As they were operating on him, the doctors explained the whole situation to his family. We're afraid that even if the surgery is a success, he might never play football again. But Jimenez, he's a warrior, man. He never gave up. His road to recovery was freaking long, 9 full months. And the next season, Jimenez returned to play for Wolves again. And even the opposition fans were cheering him on, because he survived, and one of the biggest motivators was Cech. Yeah, Cech texted me when I needed. When I wanted, he was there. He helped the doctors pick out special helmets for me. Amazing. Cech and Jimenez were fighting for their lives because of the injuries they had. But this next dude had zero contact with anyone. And his accident was so scary, it changed the rules of the game completely. In the opening game of Euro 2020, Christian Eriksen and his Denmark team were up against Finland. See, Eriksen is Denmark's star man, so coming into this one, he had all eyes and hopes behind him. But in the 41st minute of the game, Eriksen started running funny and some fans were noticing. So they had eyes on him, and as he came closer to them, he couldn't take it anymore, fell on the spot, and died. Tears were everywhere. Eriksen's wife couldn't believe it. She and the rest of the world were watching, praying, hoping Eriksen would give him a sign, but he didn't move. They tried CPR, mouth to mouth, but nothing. And as they rushed him to the hospital, the fans couldn't stop crying. All hope was lost, until Christian came back to life. Thanks to the help of the defibrillator, Eriksen got charged back to life. And when asked about what he remembered, He even admitted that he died. I remember it all, except for those few minutes that I was in heaven. What a miracle, Eriksson came back, and because of this injury, FIFA's made sure that every stadium has emergency defibrillators on site. When he moved to United in the summer, he and his new teammate Cristiano got talking, and as Eriksson was recounting his story, it made Ronaldo flashback to the day he almost lost his life, all because of his ego. In 2009, Manchester United were coming off a defeat to Derby County in the League Cup semi-finals, and you know Ronaldo, he hates losing. His coach Alex Ferguson called for practice the next morning to get the boys all sharpened up after the defeat. When it was time for practice, Ronaldo wasn't there. He slept in, and after waking up and realizing he had only 20 minutes to get to training, he pulled up to the fastest Ferrari in his garage and hit the gas. And that's when everything changed for Cristiano. See, he was going really fast, and the grease on the road got into his tires, and before he knew what was going on, boom! It was too late. The car was completely wrecked, and no one was even sure if Ronaldo would make it. So when they saw him crawling out a few minutes later, everyone breathed a big sigh of relief. Ronaldo came out alive and went on to become the GOAT. The crazy thing is, the Ferrari Ronaldo crashed isn't even top 10 on his most expensive list. I bet there's a ton of stuff you didn't know about CR7. So just hit the link below to find out all the crazy things he's been hiding.